welcome back to my channel. So I'm in the man cave, as you can see, and this is just a little bit of video. Are you fed up of spending a fortune on rigs? Have a little look at some of the quick, cheap rigs that I make. They work for me, they might work for you. So I'm going to do two completely different rigs for completely different types of fishing. You can use any components that you think's right. Take a look, see what you think of these two cheap budget rigs that I make and I use a lot. Heavy ground, where you're going to lose a lot of gear, and something I use for fishing 40 to 50 yards for my cod fishing. Now it's a dead simple rig and it has hardly any components on it, so losing them doesn't really cost the earth. So I've got £70 ASSO. I take roughly about a metre in length. Cut that off there. Then what I do then is I get a length which is going to be my snood, which this one here will be my snood, the shortest one. So then I got one long one and one short one. The short one is I don't know, what's that, 13 inches. Then I've got a fold there, so all I'm going to do now is make a loop like this, loop, go through twice, then pull it slowly, give it a little bit of grease so it doesn't burn when you're pulling tight, pull down tightly on it like that. So now we're left with the long length. Let me get that again. The long length and the short length. So the short length is obviously my hook length. Then I go for a Cox and Roll 5/6, a size 5/0. Pennel for the top. Then I go for a Cox and Roll 6/0 for the bottom. Tie that on there. Again, a little bit of grease, pull it tight. I have spoke about this in my last couple of videos. I like to leave the tag end long, and then I elasticate it in with my bait. So now we're left with the loop at the top, two hooks, and the longer length. At the bottom of the longer length, I've got the Gemini bait clip with a £20 diver sensor. This is for my rotten bottom. Then I tie the Gemini bait clip upside down, if you like. You'll see the reason for this now. Again, a bit of grease on the tight. Then you cut this tag end away, nice and neat. Could do with a new pair of scissors, I think. Nice and neat like that. So now we've got the Gemini clip upside down with a £20 diver sensor, and on the long one, and then on the short one again we've got the hooks. Then on the bottom of the diver sensor, the rotten bottom clip, and I'm going to use this pink lead here just so it shows you really, but I'd be using a grip lead or a plain 6-ounce lead. I tie that to my diver sensor, and pull it tight, a little bit of grease. Now what that does for me, so that's on a rotten bottom there, and what that does for me for casting, that would, the £20 would snap on the cast. So then I hook that up onto the Gemini bait clip like that. So now we're left with that as a rig for casting. This doesn't clip, the bait doesn't clip to anywhere, it just hangs on the cast. It's a tidy rig for casting 40 to 50 yards and fishing rough ground. When on the impact of the water, the lead hitting the water, the lead will then come off the clip and sit on the bottom of the deck off your rotten bottom. So you're now fishing like that. And then what happens then, your lead gets snagged up, you get a fish, your lead will break away, and then you'll be bringing your fish in. So it's almost like a pulley rig, but it's a fixed rig, and there's no components, so you're not losing no fancy clips or nothing. And obviously your main line of your reel with your clip would go onto the hoop that we've got there. Hope that explains that rig for you. An example of the rig. Two hooks there. And how it sits on the Gemini clip. Then when that impacts the water, that comes off and we're on the rotten bottom. Right, another budget rig. Now you can use this rig with any pound line, any hook size, whatever. This is one I use for if I'm scratching down the side and on a budget, or if I haven't got any scratching rigs and I've got some small hooks, etc., and I want to get some fresh bait to put on the big rods. Have a look. So here I'm using some fluorocarbon, and I'm going to do it short just to show you in the video. Yeah, so we've got a length of roughly 1 meter. You can do the rig as long or as short as you like as well. Out of the way. So we've got our fluorocarbon. Now fluorocarbon is good for doing this sort of rig because it's quite stiff and the rig will sit right. You'll understand what I mean now. So we're going to put a loop at the top, and this loop is for your main line of your reel to connect, whether you've got a clip on your main line or not. So then I like to go through twice, pull it, bit of grease on it, nice and tight, take away the tag end. So that there is for your main line, your reel line. Yeah. Then let's go roughly, I don't know, 6 inches or something underneath. We're going to make another loop. This time we're going to make the loop quite a lot bigger. We're going to go through twice, once, twice. Then we're going to pull it nice and slowly, not too tight because it's dry. Bit of grease, pull that tight, and then pull the two lengths nice and tight. Again, we're going to go down, well, I haven't got much left on this, so we're going to go down roughly 6 inches. We're going to do another loop. Through twice, pull again, bit of grease, nice and tight. Perfect. So now we've got a top loop, which is for your reel line, then we've got 2 loops. What we're going to do now is on the loops, if you look at them, the top one closest to your reel main line, cut the top line of the loop nice and tight and it'll pop out. Pull that nice and tight, that's not going anywhere. We're going to do exactly the same with the bottom one, the bottom loop. This is, we're cutting again the top of the loop, leaving a tag end of about 3 mil. Which gives us that. Can you see where we're going with this? This is a 2-hook flapper, but there's no crimps, there's no beads, nice and simple. That's nice and strong, that's going nowhere. Strong as. So now we get 2 chosen hooks, size, etc. With it being a scratching rig, I'm using, save me saying all the words, that's what I'm using. Then we're going to attach a hook there. So it's going. Pull that nice and tight, and on this one I'll take away the tag end, leaving a little bit still because it'll hold the worm on, or whatever chosen bait. Again with the other dropper, tie that on. So we're now left with that, 2 droppers and a loop at the top for your main line. At the bottom I like to attach a Gemini clip, not a bait down clip, just an ordinary Gemini clip. Tie that on. Again, a bit of grease on that. Cut away your tag end. And that clip there, your lead will sit on that clip. And you're now fishing with a 2-hook flapper. Nice and simple. Good, easy rig. Look at that. No costs in that really. There's hardly anything in it. No beads, no crimps. Just a simple rig. Fantastic rig for scratching down the side, for flounder fishing, anything. And that's a strong rig. Don't get me wrong, I won't want to be going catching sharks and stuff on it, but that's a nice strong rig. That's going nowhere. Perfect little whiting rig for down the dock. So if you're taking the kids fishing and you want to keep everything at a budget, because obviously they lose all the gear and they're stuck in the rocks every 5 minutes, it's a perfect rig. And as I show, it's got everything going for it without all the components. So this is the rig I just made, and I'm showing you a little bit better now. I've made this one ready for tomorrow. Ooh. As you can see, this one's quite long, but I've got a mark in mind tomorrow for this rig. And hoping to catch myself some fresh bait to the lead. Well, that was a long-winded video to show you 2 rigs, but some people ask if they can see these things and what I use. So they're just 2 cheap budget rigs that I use. Nice and simple, keeps the costs down. And if you're fishing rough ground, who wants to be throwing in packs and packs of expensive stuff? It's no good for the environment, and it's no good for the pocket. And then when it comes to the scratching rig, do you know what? It's a perfect little rig. I've had bass, flounders, mullet, everything on it. It's brilliant for fishing down the side in the summer for wrasse, and you can just use it for anything to your comfort. You don't have to use the same size rigs, hooks, or lines that I used in the demonstrations. It's your choice. I'm just trying to help. So next time, we'll see you fishing.